All right, the Cincinnati Bengals have a player that is absolutely shining, turning heads, whatever you want to talk about it at camp, and it is all because another player who is phenomenal isn't playing. And you know who that is. Now, before we get into who this mystery player is, let's talk about this channel for a second. If you are new to it, we love the NFL. We have another channel, Sports Talk Detroit. You see some of the Lions gear in the background, but we flat out love the NFL. So about a year ago, we started this channel, me and Chris, and we have loved doing recordings for various teams. And we think that the Bengals are a fun team to talk about. They're not too far from our home, right, in Cincinnati. So we wanted to talk about it. And if you want to hear stories that are some of the lesser-known stories, things you're not going to see on ESPN or NFL Network, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like listening to this at the end of the video. And for more content, both from the Bengals and other teams around the NFL, go ahead and hit that button. All right. Ja'Marr Chase still is not in practice. It doesn't take a long scroll through Twitter, all right, to notice that. Charlie Clifford asked Joe Burrow, how much practice time do you need with Ja'Marr Chase to be on the same page? He goes, a couple of practices, one individual period, and he'll be ready to go. Like, he's confident. He knows that he can get that back pretty quick, but Ja'Marr Chase is still not practicing. What I love to see in this, and the majority of this video is not going to be about Ja'Marr Chase, but we need to set the stage here. What I love about this is that he's still an active teammate. I love right here that it says that he's cheering on fellow wide receivers. He's signing autographs is in the middle of practice. This is good stuff. All right, Zach Taylor, the coach, has said that they have a plan going forward. They know what they're doing. All right, it's a plan that Ja'Marr and I have, Taylor said. We'll chase practice. We'll see, Taylor said. And then Ja'Marr Chase offered no comment. This is early on in camp. But with that happening, all right, especially with T. Higgins, who was limited on Thursday, there were some opportunities for other players. All right, and Andre Iosivas is balling out. The dude is making it clear that he is ready to be here. All right, with both the absence at times of Higgins and the full absence of Ja'Marr Chase, it has cleared the way for Iosivas to turn heads. The thing is, he's acting like the number one or number two wide receiver right now because those guys haven't been playing as much. All right, he's worked the slot a day in practice. He's worked on the outside. He's caught everything that has been thrown his way. Now, am I there watching practice? No, I'm not. We have to rely on the beat writers. But that's why you watch channels like this, because I listen to what all of them are saying. I get clips from the internet. I get to watch things to an extent, and we get to see what's happening. He made an awesome play against DJ Turner earlier in the week, and you start wondering to yourself, can this guy, a sixth-round pick, because the hit rate on sixth-round picks is not that great. And what I mean by hit rate is, do they end up being a really good starting caliber wide receiver in the NFL? It's like a 10% hit rate in the sixth round. All right, but you don't see guys with this type of athleticism being drafted in the sixth round regularly. All right, and he took time in the offseason. All right, it says in an article by The Athletic that he made significant strides in the offseason program thanks to work with wide receiver coach Drew Lieberman in Atlanta. His technique, route running, and overall efficiency has taken off. It took off. In fact, he looked so good it prompted the staff to give him a shot at the open spot during in the starting lineup, even though that's a new role for him. All right? Troy Walters said he had a great spring, your wide receivers coach. You want to get your best three players on the field. Right now, he's three. He's number 3. All right? And playing well. We had to find a way to get him on the field. He processes quickly and does everything you ask. He'll probably grow into that role and see if he can handle it. All right. He processes things fast. I bet he does. He played at Princeton. The Ivy League and Princeton, there's some okay players that come out of Princeton and Harvard. It's rare. It's rare. Usually those are the type of players, I don't want to stereotype here for Ivy League football, but You don't go play Ivy League football because you're an elite athlete. That's not how it goes. Andre Iosivas is different. He is an elite athlete. All right, if you watch this channel a little bit, what you start to realize pretty quickly is that I love a tool called the RAS, the Relative Athletic Score. And the reason I like this is because it doesn't tell me if a player is going to be good. It doesn't tell me if a player is going to be bad. But it does tell you, do they have the athleticism required to be a good player in the National Football League? Or does their athleticism increase their chance of being a good football player, or does it decrease their chance to be a good football player? All right, when he was drafted last year, here was his relative athletic score. A perfect score is a 10. If you get a 10, that means you are the single most athletic, based on testing numbers, wide receiver to ever play the game. From 1987 to 2023, those who have enough combine eligible, all right, in other words, they did enough things at the combine to be eligible. All right, he is the 14th most athletic wide receiver to ever test. Did you realize how athletic this guy was? Like, I know you get to watch him, and I know he made some plays for you. He got on the field a little bit last year. Did you realize how athletic he is? He is 6'3", 205 pounds. He has 19 reps on the bench. He's strong. He's one of the strongest wide receivers to ever do it. He has elite speed, 4.43, 40. His splits, the 10-yard, the 20-yard, even better. Those are even better than his long speed. His agility grade is great. His explosion is elite. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I was absolutely shocked. Like, I knew he was an athlete. I knew he was showing out a little bit. I did not realize at what extent he was able to do that. All right, he's listed at 6'3", 212 on BFF. Last year, he had 15 catches. All right, a 60% completion clip to him. All right, not all Burrow throwing him the ball. A 94.3 QB rating when he was targeted. Got 4 touchdowns. Like, how excited are you for this guy? Leave it in the comments. Like, do you believe you have yourselves a future core to this team? Do you believe that in your depth chart, he is going to be the guy? Is he good enough to let T. Higgins walk after this year? Is he good enough to hold off Jermaine Burton out of Bama? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself. Because when I look at these weapons, if he can develop into what he has been, if they're letting him work in the slot, that means they want him to be on the field with Chase and Higgins. If he ends up being a player that we think he can be, you already have the best 1-2 tandem in the NFL. If not the best, it's 1, 2, or 3. All right? You could just flat out have the best receiving core in the NFL. It's there. I'm excited to see what Joe Burrow can do throwing him the football. So that's I just wanted to give some thoughts on it. Andre Iosivas, that it's kind of fun to see players like this coming out of Princeton that are making a mark. And by the way, if you're a fantasy football guy, like deep in drafts, just take a flyer on this guy. If you're doing a best ball, take a flyer on this guy. You got Jamar Chase in his contract holdout. When players don't play in training camp, they are more likely to get hurt in the regular season. It's just the way it goes. T. Higgins has already shown that he's kind of injury prone. This guy could get a ton of targets and have some really big games depending on injuries and what happens in front of him. So take a flyer, especially like a best ball fantasy football type thing. All right. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.